talk about how and why narcissistic mothers covertly shame and damage their own children in order to keep them trapped in a box of control and to attempt to look good in the process, garnering all kinds of support and attention from the outside world. It's disgusting. Now, we are talking about how narcissistic mothers covertly damage and shame their own children. To begin with, we need to understand the difference between the overt narcissist and the covert narcissist. The overt narcissist is okay being arrogant, loud, and bullying. They really personify that. It becomes who they are. And in most cases, many of us would prefer to deal with the overt narcissist for that reason, because we could at least say, you're a butthole, right? Leave me alone. Stay over there. The covert narcissist, however, is the most damaging. The covert narcissist lives this double life. They have the same heart of stone as the overt narcissist. They have the same cruelty and malice and inherent selfishness within their heart, yet they desire to present to the outside world a different story because they want to garner sympathy. They want to garner attention. This makes the covert narcissistically abusive person the worst narcissist that you could ever come across. This is the type that you don't know what you're going to get from one moment to the next. Dr. Jekyll or Mr. Hyde. The beauty or the beast. Now, when it comes to covert narcissistic mothers, I want to talk about how and why they humiliate, shame, and damage their own children to accomplish two things. Number one, to maintain control over the relationship, possibly forever, to keep the children underneath their thumb so that they never grow too independent, so that they never feel they can leave, so that they will also be or always be submissive to the mother. But the other reason is so that the mother can manipulate that shame and that guilt that they are putting onto that child. She can manipulate that into gaining attention, support, even admiration from the outside world. How do they do this? Covert narcissistic mothers use the medical field. That's their number one go-to. Covert narcissistic mothers use the medical field. That's their number one go-to tactic. Oftentimes, if they have a child that is showing or displaying independent traits, maybe they don't want to listen. Maybe they don't want to sit still. Maybe they're showing early signs of independence, exploration, their own individuality. They act in their own way. Many of you know who have dealt with narcissists, you know that narcissistically abusive people hate independence from another because it's a threat to their control. How many of you know the reality? If you want to make a narcissistic person mad, just be independent. Don't listen to them. Don't do anything that they say. Be you. Be a part. Show your agency as an individual, right? This they cannot stand. And so, obviously, children start to display their own independence early on in life, as we all do. A narcissistic covert mother will take up issue with this. One of the things she'll start to do then is to use the medical industry in order to effectively point out this child as being a problem. So it's not uncommon for a narcissistic covert mother to start to find out if the child has ADHD, try to find the flaws, try to find what's wrong, try to find the angle that the narcissistic mother can covertly point the finger at the child and say, this is why you don't listen to me. This is why you're so difficult. And the narcissistic covert mother will use the label, the medical label, as something valid, a justifiable reason to shake her finger at that child, when really all she's trying to do is keep that child in a box. She'll use whatever she can in order to shake her finger at that child, to confine that child, to put up walls around that child. Now, what's besides the point, what the narcissistic mother doesn't care about, is how that will affect the child for the rest of the child's life. A covert narcissistic mother doesn't care one bit that that child may now absorb that they are being called and accused of being ADHD or whatever, and now it's going to affect them in their self-esteem for the rest of their life. They're going to live under the stigma. They're going to live under this threat. They're going to live under this burden, under this heaviness. The mother doesn't care. All the narcissistic covert mother cares is that there is now a box defined around that child that can be used at any time against that child. Aha, you're not paying attention to me because of your ADHD. Do you see how now the covert narcissistic mother has been able to assert control over the child? This is now the box you live in because of your ADHD, because of your hypersensitivity, because of your whatever. You can fill in the blank. Covert narcissistic mothers will also start to notice, and this is how you know it's a covert narcissistic mother. They will also start to notice that as they share this information about their child with other people, they're starting to get attention. So it's not uncommon to see a narcissistic covert mother on social media saying, "Oh, my heart breaks for my ADHD child. Life is so hard for them, and if anybody wants to know why they're so sensitive, it's because of the ADHD, and I'm really doing everything I can to help the child." No. What the covert narcissistic mother's trying to do is put themselves out there in the world as being this great, fantastic, caring, loving person, so that social media moms or whatever else can gather around her and say, "Oh, you're such a good mother." But if they would just snap out of it, snap out of the trance and say, "Wait a minute, this person is talking about their child's ADHD issues on social media? Why?" Because they're trying to garner the attention. But in today's society, there's a lot of narcissistic covert mothers that will find out that it works, and they get enough attention from that. Nobody knows what's going on behind closed doors, and this is the sad reality of all covert narcissistic mothers, because behind closed doors, what they're going to find out is that they're actually yelling at that child, shaking their finger at that child, calling them ADHD, calling them whatever they need to say in order to keep them in the box, which is abusive. So they're abusing that child. But to the outside world, they post, "Oh, my heart breaks. I struggle with my child. I wrestle with my child because of this issue and that issue." And so the outside world gives up that attention and that sympathy. And this could get very extreme, by the way. There's actually YouTube videos of horrifying things. Mothers out there who will take their children to a hospital, garnering attention because their child is sick. Come to find out, when the cameras are rolling in the hospital room, that mother is putting salt or some kind of nasty thing in the child's feeding tube so that the child is bent over, hurling and vomiting. Why is the mother doing that? There's some kind of weird sympathy or attention that the mother is getting from people saying, "Oh, you're doing everything you can. What a wonderful mother," when really it is the narcissistic covert mother that is destroying the child. This is an important message, and I hope right now that any of you watching, when you come across social media posts where it seems like a mother is talking about how she's wrestling with their child who is ADHD or this or that, don't be so quick to jump in there and say, "Oh, you're doing so good. You're doing the best you can." Perhaps your first question should be, why are you sharing this on social media, first of all? Now, obviously, we're not talking about mothers who have obvious difficulties with children with very difficult disabilities. In fact, you know this is true because you typically won't see mothers who have children with very difficult situations. You won't see them post about the negative things about that. There are children out there that are born without arms, without limbs. There are children that are born with various special needs, physical special needs. You don't see the mothers out there going, "Oh, my day, oh, my child, and oh, my heart's broken for my child." No. because they're not narcissistic, and those mothers aren't trying to garner any attention. They accept their child for who they are and love them. But when you have a narcissistic mother who is covertly going on social media and saying, oh, my special need ADHD child is so difficult to understand, you can stand back and say, wow, what is this person doing? Why are they trying to garner this attention?